Hello and welcome back to the channel. Okay, first before I get into this, I want to thank everyone for the support I've been getting recently. My subs are slowly creeping up, so I think I'm about 310 subs now. That is just brilliant. Thank you all for the support. I'm going to keep chugging on with this, and hopefully I will reach my target of 1,000 by Christmas. That is my target. But anyway, let's get on with today's episode. Right, so I'm going to go through a few bits of news that have been breaking out for the past week. So let's start with Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins exclusive PS5 demo is broken. Yes, this is following some news that what this is. Firstly, I'd like to say this game isn't exclusive to the PS5. It's actually on all platforms. It's a multi-platform. It's coming to Xbox, both all generations of consoles. Obviously not the older ones like PS3 or 360, but it is coming to the PS4, the PS5, the Xbox One, and the Xbox Series X. So it is actually a multi-platform game. What Sony have done though is that they've only paid for a demo, the early demo of the game. So they've paid for a demo of this version, and that's what's broken. So they've paid for early access sort of demo for the game, and it's not working. It's corrupted and it's completely broken, and no players can get into it. So as it stands, and Sony at the moment, I've tried to look it up, have not corrected this issue, and it's been like it now for almost a week. So they've paid for a broken demo, which is not a good sign on them, really. But they've gone and they've talked to. This is quite interesting. They've talked to some of the good people who tried to resolve the problem. Where is it? Yes, as you can see here. But what's interesting is this guy, this fellow, what's his name? Kaz guy. What he goes on to say. Sorry everyone, the Stranger of Paradise demo is not running on PS5. Because the console is not backwards compatible with the PS3 games. Yes. But basically, yeah, the game's not working, the demo's not working. Hopefully Sony will fix this or do something about it, because they've probably paid good money to have this demo running just on their console, being exclusive to console. Why are people paying money for exclusive demos is a bit odd. I don't know why, but from both sides, I don't think anyone should make demos exclusive. That's just a bit weird, unless the game's obviously first party. I don't know why you'd pay for third party demos, but please make sure if you're going to buy stuff like this, make sure it works. You know what I mean? It's the kind of thing where you get it home, unwrap it, it's broken, you take it back to the shop the same day. You don't go, I'm just going to sit on this for a week. So I'm not sure what Sony are doing now, and I'm not sure what's going on in their heads at the moment. But yes, any PS5 gamers that are excited to play this demo, you can't at the moment, I'm afraid. Wait for Sony to do something about it. But the company come out have said they've tried to resolve it and things, but it is an issue with the PS5 apparently. So let's move on to the next better. So many of you might be wondering why Everwild wasn't shown at E3. Good explanation for this. Rare come out a few days ago saying basically they're rebooting Everwild. This is why they've shown nothing. So they're looking that the game probably won't release now till 2024 because they're doing a complete reboot. What happened is they've got a new director and developer guy in. The old one left. So as it says here, Xbox fans wondering why Rare Everwild didn't show up to Sunday's E3 show now have an answer. The studio's completely rebooted the open world adventure game under a new creative director, and its release is multiple years away, reports Gaming Chronicles. Citing sources with knowledge of Everwild's development, VOC reports that Rare has undertaken a complete overhaul of the game's design and direction, following the departure last fall of its previous creative director, Simon Woodroffe. Who's this? Greg Miles, who has worked at Rare for more than 3 decades, has basically left, and someone else has taken over, I think. So what do you think about that? I'm sort of a bit depressed, but they didn't really show much of the game anyway. There's a lot of the game sort of looked nice, but then there's no gameplay, and we wasn't ever aware of what actually the game was. If it was an FPS, an RPG, no one was even aware of what this game was. So it's no real pain other than it's been delayed. There is no real major issue, personally to me, But as we always say, it's good to delay these games and reboot it. If obviously the new guy coming in had maybe some issues with the game, or looked at the game and thought, this is not very good. And Sea of Thieves, for example, is very successful at the moment. That's doing massively well. Rare's doing massively well at the moment, so it would be a shame for them to drop the ball at this stage. So yes, I'm welcoming this delay, and I hope they bring something what everyone wants. I heard originally that it was going to turn into sort of a Pokemon style game, but we're going to see how that develops. Let's look at the next bit of news. So you're probably not all strangers to the Metro paper. Possibly you are. What the Metro is a paper in the UK, in London, the city. That's why it's called the Metro. And it's sort of an amalgamation of other papers. Generally, these are just news journalists, really, not gamers. So they talk a lot of rubbish and get a lot of shit wrong. And they're very pro Sony, as you'll see. With regards to their comments, they really don't like the Xbox. They really like Sony, and you can tell this by the reviews that they give the games and all. Generally, they rate up PlayStation games. So any English papers you find on there, generally they're sort of part of like the Daily Mail and stuff. They're part of the Metro. So you get the Metro themselves reporting on PlayStation games, as well as papers like the Daily Mail reporting on PlayStation games. So they're both the same company. And rating their games high. But anyway, we won't go into that right now. But anyway, the Metro obviously come out and said they still believe the Starfield will go to PlayStation 5.
Out of your motherfucking mind, man.
Yes, they're under some mad delusion that the Starfield it wasn't clear enough, and it's still going to go to the PlayStation 5. I don't think Bethesda could have made it any clearer, to be honest. But yes, so they've said interviews with Bethesda staff have shone some light. This is what's weird about their actual review. This is how bad game journalists they are. So they said it's still going to go to PlayStation 5. But as I wrote here, while its E3 2021 presence was relatively brief, a couple of recent interviews with key Bethesda staff has shed a bit more light on what players can expect. But they said here, after 3 years, Bethesda has finally lifted the lid on Starfield. Although the trailer was leaked ahead of schedule and ultimately doesn't reveal much, it at least confirmed a 2022 release date and Xbox and PC exclusivity. Yet their header is it still may go to PS5. So they're even contradicting themselves. These journalists, this Metro is really bad, and these are the guys that sort of rate games as well. Actually, let's get on to them rating games and what they think of the games, or what they think in general of the Xbox show. So the Metro come out with this this article shortly after the E3 conference. New Horizons. I think it's obvious now that this E3 is still going to be a shadow of its former self. Even though Microsoft put on a decent show, Ubisoft had hardly anything major to talk about, but I felt the Xbox showing was good. Although why Bethesda got joint top billing, I don't know. What?
Fucking kidding me.
What?
Are you fucking killing me?
Why did Bethesda get joint top billing with Xbox? You don't know. You're unaware that Xbox owned Bethesda. You're unaware of that, are you? You just can't comprehend why they would be together. Jesus. They still showed no actual gameplay of Starfield and nothing else except to remind everyone how terrible the graphics are in Fallout 76. So you're just there, just right there, it just says it. They still had nothing to show except remind everyone how terrible the graphics are in Fallout 76. Even the new Arcane game looked pretty meh, but then the American studio is clearly not as good as the French one. No, all the good stuff was from Microsoft themselves, which suggests that wasting all this money on buying in studios was unnecessary if they just concentrated on nurturing their own internal teams as Sony has done. Oh right, yeah, okay. See, there's just so much nonsense right there. So firstly, yes, as I said, Xbox own Bethesda. That's why they would join up with them, and that's why they're top billion, because they own them. It's their company, and they wanted to equally show the stuff they've got because Bethesda are a massive deal in the gaming industry with games like Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim. Oh my god, do I really need to list these things? Do I really need to explain to them who Bethesda is? It's ridiculous. What they say, they just downplayed Fallout 76. It's ridiculous. They didn't show any actual gameplay of Starfield. But Sony have not really shown much. Well, they've shown pretty much nothing. But you've been hyping them up. God of War they've shown as a title. You're still hyping that up, and literally just shown a title. And that game was supposed to release this year. You've got to wonder why they're still showing no gameplay if they were presumably going to release that game this year. Surely the game should be at least halfway complete by now if they had any intention at all to release the game this year. But they didn't have any intention. They completely lied. They had never had the intention. God of War, let's be honest, won't be released until 2023. Let's be honest with ourselves here. But we ignore all that. So let's not talk about PlayStation. These people's clear biased towards Xbox. But the shocking thing they went on to go about, the new Arcane game looked pretty meh. But then the American... They go on about how it's just a different studio. I've said this before. Studios work on several games. So you've got Rare that was working on Battletoads, doing CS:Thieves DLC, while doing Everwild, which is delayed, as I said earlier. You've got Ninja Theory that are doing Hellblade 2 while they've done Bleeding Edge. You've got Obsidian, they're working on Avowed while doing Outer Worlds 2. And it was with them, they've done recently on Wastelands 3. You've got Playground Games that are working on Forza Horizon 5 and Fable at the same time. These studios are given money and they're giving complete freedom, creative freedom to do as they please. Don't downplay them that they're releasing games just because it's not to your satisfaction. Don't start calling out these games because they're not single player over the shoulder action, because every single game that they churn out isn't the one general genre that you like. Don't start calling these studios out and start saying they need to sort of only make your genre of games because you like them, and fuck off everyone else. No, don't do that. Don't ruin gaming that way. This is why I hate journalists. They're not real gamers. And then it goes on to say, not all the good stuff was from Microsoft themselves. All the good stuff was from Microsoft themselves, sorry, which suggests why they wasted their money. They bought ZeniMax with that money, not just Bethesda. They bought ZeniMax that also own things like Wolfenstein, Doom, the two exclusives that are on PlayStation 5. They own them, and they'll be coming over to Xbox now thanks to this deal. They own so many other companies and franchises, as we all know. And then you're targeting Fallout 76 and completely ignoring things like Elder Scrolls 6 when that drops, and Starfield. It's so horribly biased and annoying. It's horribly biased and annoying. And sadly, it doesn't end there. The guy continues. Which is another way of saying Forza Horizon 5 looked amazing, like Unreal Engine 5 demo amazing. I really do think it could be the best graphics I've ever seen, and that's exactly the sort of thing Microsoft needs. I don't think anyone could make me interested in Halo, but Forza Horizon 5 to me had the look of a killer app. So that's the interesting thing there. He says, I don't think anyone could ever make me interested in Halo. Yet when Halo comes out, they'll be the ones reviewing it and rating it something like 50 or 60, like they did the last ones. They openly admit they don't like the games, but still rate them and give them low scores. So, take that as you will. Why you want to review a game that you don't like just so you can give it a low score, just goes to show, doesn't it, really? I don't particularly like single player action adventure games, so I wouldn't play them, thus I wouldn't review them. That's generally how it goes. But if you did pay me to actually do my job properly, then I would review it properly and score it properly. So I've seen a lot of people act very defensive about criticism of Microsoft. Yes, because we've seen no one do that about Sony at all, have we? But to me, most of the complaints have been fair. Of course they have. Xbox has been terrible for years now, but if you accept that, you must also accept that they are finally turning things around, and this E3 was a small but important step forward. Yes, a very small step forward, yeah. Yeah, all the changes in the way they're going right now, it's a very small step forward. What do you propose they should do, Metro, or journalists, I should say, Mr. Journalist? What else do you propose they should do? They're buying up all the studios, which you think's not a good idea. You think that's a bad idea. Buying up studios, they're making more games, which you think's a bad idea also. You think they should just make the games you like. What do you suggest they should do? You come out and just tell us, rather than saying, they're making a small step forward. There was something very off about Guardians of the Galaxy. To be honest, I didn't even see that review, that game clip, which is odd. but not really showing any interest in those kind of games. The developers were sat there saying it was their take on their characters, and yet you could plainly see that they looked and acted as much like the movie versions as possible without going into the effort of paying the real actors. I haven't read the comics, yada yada yada. You've probably not read anything to do anything. Like GC said, it all seems just like a knockoff brand, which is exactly the same problem as the Avengers game. Even this one, I wasn't interested in that. Yeah, and he goes on to moan about Guardians of the Galaxy, which I don't really care about his opinion on things, really. It's odd that he's not really focused too much on the Xbox games. Too much. He's not said anything about all the other games they've shown. He says he don't like Halo. He says there wasn't gameplay of Starfield, and he liked Forza Horizon. That's all he seemed to focus on. And then Guardians of the Galaxy. But as I said, as always, it's someone's opinion. The only sad thing is, as I said, these people will review games, and then their score, then their opinion does matter when it comes to Metacritic, because it openly it affects these games. Basically, it can affect game sales. It can affect if people buy these games or not. It won't affect me because I'm a gamer, but other people who live by ratings will buy their games based on ratings, which once again I find weird. No one watches a film based on the rating, do you? You don't watch a film on TV and think, well, or in the cinema and go, well, it looks good. But I'm not going to watch it day one. I'm going to wait for the ratings to come out and then watch it, deciding on the... no one does that in anything, really, in walks of life. It's weird that people do it with games, taking the opinion of a journalist. But let me know what you think below. Let me know in the comments. As always, I've rambled on. Thank you all. My subs are slowly creeping up. Thank you all for all the comments. But I see people making more and more comments, which is great because I like to interact and talk with people. Please feel free to share this out. Thank you all for your support, and goodbye for now.